Good morning and welcome to this thematic dialogue on urban education that supports the development of digital skills. My name is Ms. Amalia M. Serrano and I'm a senior officer at the Education, Youth and Sports Division in ASEAN Secretariat. This thematic dialogue aims to focus on and discuss education efforts in ASEAN that address the constant growth of the internet economy in Southeast Asia and the increasing demand for digital professional expertise. Throughout this forum, different thematic dialogues will offer the opportunity to discuss and reflect on the main areas that the ASEAN Sustainable Urbanization Strategy, or ASUS, identifies as priorities for Asian cities to further sustainable urbanization. ASUS is a sustainable urbanization framework launched in 2018 to provide ASEAN cities with an analysis of urban trends and priority areas for urban development in the region, and two accompanying toolkits that aim to assist local governments in ASEAN to advance sustainable urbanization in their cities. One of the priority areas identified by ASUS is industry and innovation, which includes education as its priority sub-area and the development of digital skills through industry boot camps as a priority action. Skill-based education focuses on producing an appropriately skilled workforce that can be resilient to changing industry needs and automation. It includes skills retraining, digital skills development, and vocational training programs. ASUS highlights how digital technologies are estimated to potentially displace 12 to 17 million non-farm jobs in ASEAN from 2015 to 2030. Technological advances such as automation and AI will require a radical shift in education and training. For instance, it has been projected that over 50% of students are being trained in jobs that will be radically changed by automation. So the objectives of this session is to share knowledge and increase participants' awareness in challenges and opportunities for ASEAN cities related to education through digital skills development. And the discussion with local government representatives and experts will reflect on strategies to enhance the development of digital skills through bootcamps. So the agenda for today's session is as follows. First, we will start with two presentations from city representatives who will share their experiences and recommendations on how targeted digital skills development can support education to adapt skills itself to the advent of automation, AI, and digital technology use. Following this, we will have a panel discussion on some shared challenges and related experience, as well as on existing and emerging solutions for digital skills development. Then we will wrap up with questions from the audience, followed by a short summary and conclusion to the dialogue. Joining us today to present on city's context in terms of digital skills education are two city representatives. First is Dr. Sita Kemarat, Associate Professor and Vice President of Savannakhet University, Lao PDR. Then Mr. Budi Santoso, the Head of Communication Informatics and Encryption, Banyuwangi City, Government of Indonesia. For the panel discussion, we will also be joined by Dr. Non Arka Prasertkul, Senior Experts, Digital Economy Promotion Agency in Thailand, Professor Matthews Nokoma, Dean of the Business School, RMIT Vietnam, and Ms. Sharifa Noriza Shed Ahmad Kabir, Regional Caucus Coordinator in Asia Pacific, Major Group for Children and Youth. So we will start the session now with a city context presentation by Dr. Sita Kemarat, specifically on the Quezon Pomvehani Smart City Project. Dr. Sita, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the introduction. I'm quite pleased and honor for me to join this ASUF, ASEAN Sustainable Urbanization Forum. And I would like to present to share my experience on education, especially for support digital skill development. Next slide, please. So I am talking in the context of Quezon Province or Quezon City for short, and Quezon City for short as a smart city project. Okay, next slide, please. So my main topic of the presentation is first some information about Quezon Province City or Quezon City, and then I will talk about the current situations, issue, problem, and then about the project challenges, and finally conclusions. So next slide, please. So about Quezon Province City or Quezon City, it was upgraded or founded in 2018. Before it was a district. In the country, we have 3 city status in the north, in the south, and in the center. The center one is the Quezon Province City, with area of 650 square kilometer, with population more than 125,000 people, with a density of 210 per square kilometers. And the GDP per capita is about 2,000 US dollars. The location, the city itself is located about 500 kilometers from the capital, south of capital. And most importantly is we are located in the passage of East-West Economic Corridor passage. And in the city, we have 1 university and 6 technical colleges. The main industry in the city right now is are mainly located in the special economic zone, Khon Sawan Seno special economic zone, mainly focusing on the manufacturing and logistics. Next slide, please. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to talk about the current situation related to labor skill development. So according to our study, tracer study by research team from Savannakhel University, there are insufficient skill for the graduate from the higher education institutions. The skill required mainly is IT skill and practical skill, language skill, communication skill, foreign language skill, including Lao and English skill. Next one, please. And from the employer point of view, it shows that our graduate lack of practical skill, and also the program we have being offered in the university is mainly not really related to the working conditions, and then the curricula we have are mainly too general and not focused enough, and also English proficiency insufficient for the industry. Next slide, please. And then we organize a workshop. So participating from by representative from the education institutions, from colleges and university, and also from the industry. There is a mismatch point of view between skill supply and demand. So the higher education institution said that so it's hard to diversify or to meet the need of industry that require more focused program areas. So that is the gap between 2 point of view. So seeing this gap, our project, for short AASCF project, so we are aiming to fill up this gap by using e-learning tool or digital tool, what we call gamification or simulations. So mainly focusing on the soft skill. That's what we have identified, mainly soft skill. Okay, next slide, please. And according to our study also, that the possible collaboration between education institution and industry are mainly the internship, training, study visit for different period. No? These are the possible collaboration. Next slide, please. Now I would like to talk about the project itself. The name of project is Enhance Employment to meet the tool and e-learning module, matching tool and e-learning module. The general objective is to match labor skill with labor market requirement, and the specific one is to create employment service platform and matching tool and e-learning module. This project is funded by ASEAN Austria Smart City Trust Fund, AAF, STF, no. And the project will last for 1.5 years, starting from the end of 2020 to beginning of 2022. The main stakeholder of the project are Savannakhit University, Quezon Phongvihan Major Office, Savan Sino Special Economic Zone, Quezon Phongvihan Public Services Offices, and technical colleges. Next one, please. So the main concept of the project of the smart city. So you can see so when we say smart city, it consists of smart mobility, smart people, smart living, smart economy, smart government, and smart environment. So among these, we have identified smart people first. It means training, skill training first, in order to go forward to be smart city. Okay, next slide, please. And the main focus area is, so we are in the scope of industry and innovation, and major focus is more digital skill development to link to the labor market. Next slide, please. So the project started in October 2020. We conducted a feasibility study by having dialogue with different stakeholders. We have identified, and then we develop e-learning tool, and then demonstrate to students from higher education institution. That was the first phase, and then second phase is being started now. Last month we have organized a workshop, a kind of kick-off meeting, a kick-off workshop for the second phase, and then we will elaborate more about the platform, about the e-learning tool, and then we will disseminate it them to the student, mainly from the higher education, from the university and colleges. Okay, next one, please. So this is a sample of the e-learning tone. So we demonstrated it. This to our students is about the application using the smartphone. So we have conducted also a survey. 100% of students from university and colleges have a smartphone, so they can access to any platform we develop. So the platform is mainly about the starting from how to write CV for application for a job, and then how to take interview, and then how to train themselves in the working condition in the industry, so that when they enter in the real job condition, they will have already familiar with the working condition. Okay, next one, please. So some challenges. Linkage between higher education, university, and colleges within this industry is still a major issue right now. So we have meeting with them. We discuss. We are about to negotiate with them, but how to make both party or to enhance commitment of the two party, and also how to find the common interest of the two party. And then concerning the e-learning tool is also challenging for us to develop an e-learning tool for learner or job seeker to have access to the platform, and then to attract the learner to use the platform and also learning tool, and then how to develop the appropriate learning tool so that they can easily access to the labor market information. And finally, if we success with this, we will further elaborate or scale out for the bigger coverage. For example, for the job seeker from the community. Okay, next one, please. So now I come to the conclusion. So in conclusion, there's a mismatch between labor skill and industry requirement, and then higher education industry's point of view are still divergent. Higher education graduates have insufficient soft skill as a priority to help them develop, and then the project funded by ASEAN is aiming to match this gap. And then in the first, so we will develop employment service platform, and then e-learning tool, and eventually to help job seeker or graduate to seize opportunities of in the labor market. So next slide, please. So some related project materials. So you can have access to by many ways. It's a kind of report you can have access to. And finally, I would like to, with the picture, so we went to meet the city mayor, discuss with him, and then we organized the meeting with a workshop with industry representative. We organized workshop with students to demonstrate the e-learning tool. So thank you very much for. I would like to express my sincerest thanks for the ASTF, Australian government, ADB, and thank you very much for the organizer of for giving this opportunity for sharing my experience. Thank you. Let's come to an end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sita, for that comprehensive presentation. on the Employment Service platform. We now welcome Mr. Budi Santoso to the virtual floor to present on common recovery levers for cities, specifically on the Smart Kampung Banyuwangi program. Mr. Santoso, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I would like to deliver my presentation in Bahasa. Saya Budi Santoso, Kepala Dinas Kominfo Kabupaten Banyuwangi, akan menyampaikan program Smart Kampung Banyuwangi yang di dalamnya adalah terdapat pengembangan digital yang dilaksanakan di Banyuwangi. Next. Pendidikan di Banyuwangi merupakan prioritas yang diambil oleh pemerintah Kabupaten Banyuwangi selain bidang kesehatan dan bidang ekonomi. Bidang ekonomi ini menjadi sangat penting, tetapi pendidikan merupakan penumpang utama dari hal-hal yang pembangunan yang lain di Banyuwangi. Selanjutnya, pendidikan di Banyuwangi juga diartikan dalam arti luas, tidak hanya pendidikan melaksanakan pembelajaran di bangku sekolah, tetapi pendidikan yang bagaimana masyarakat Banyuwangi bisa meningkatkan kemampuan kapasitasnya tanpa harus terbatas oleh waktu dan usia serta tempat. Next slide. Bagi Banyuwangi, pandemi merupakan tantangan pendidikan yang ada sekarang ini. Ada beberapa hal. Yang pertama, saat ini kita semua menghadapi pandemi COVID-19, sehingga ini menjadi tantangan yang harus kita selesaikan, terutama di pembelajaran di tingkat dasar dan menengah. Kemudian yang kedua, pendidikan bagi masyarakat ini juga menjadi tantangan bagi kita semua, bagaimana masyarakat bisa teredukasi dalam menghadapi tantangan di era digital. Next slide. Bagi Banyuwangi, pandemi ini merupakan momentum untuk bisa melaksanakan konsolidasi secara menyeluruh bagi semua stakeholder untuk bersama-sama bergotong royong bagaimana kita menguatkan ekosistem digital yang ada di Banyuwangi sehingga bisa melaksanakan pembangunan secara bersama-sama, khususnya untuk meningkatkan kualitas sumber daya manusia. Next slide. Di semua sekolah kita diwajibkan untuk menyiapkan infrastruktur untuk bisa melaksanakan pembelajaran secara daring, dan ini merupakan modal dasar bagi kita di pemerintah daerah karena sejak tahun 2015 dengan program Smart Kampung kita sudah bisa menyelesaikan infrastruktur sampai ke semua desa tergelar dengan jaringan fiber optik, sehingga masyarakat bisa mengakses dengan mudah, bisa memanfaatkan teknologi dan mereka meningkatkan kualitas sumber daya manusia. Next slide. Yang berikutnya, infrastruktur digital ini juga terus kita kembangkan, khususnya di bidang pendidikan, bahwa semua sekolah-sekolah sudah terkoneksi dengan bukan hanya dengan Dinas Pendidikan, tetapi juga dengan Kementerian Pendidikan, sehingga apapun yang kita lakukan di Banyuwangi bisa langsung terkoneksi dengan Kementerian Pendidikan. Next slide. Di Kementerian Pendidikan ada data pokok pendidikan yang itu terus terupdate setiap saat secara real time yang bisa kita gunakan untuk pengambilan kebijakan terutama di bidang pendidikan. Kemudian peran pemerintah juga dengan pengadaan perangkat komputer, laptop yang dilaksanakan oleh pemerintah pusat bersama-sama dengan pemerintah daerah, sehingga bisa mencukupi sarana prasarana di tingkat sekolah untuk layanan kepada siswa-siswa baik di tingkat dasar maupun di tingkat menengah. Selain itu juga ada pengembangan aplikasi bagaimana kegiatan pembelajaran ini bisa berjalan dengan baik, diterima oleh semua siswa yang ada di seluruh wilayah Banyuwangi, karena secara geografis kondisi di Banyuwangi ini dengan luas wilayah 5.700 km ini akan sangat membantu bagi siswa untuk melaksanakan pembelajaran. Next slide. Di masa pandemi, pada awalnya semua sekolah kita melaksanakan pembelajaran secara daring, dan ini sudah kita lakukan. Alhamdulillah berjalan dengan lancar, dan sekarang ini di mulai pertengahan tahun sudah karena leveling untuk penanganan COVID sudah berjalan dengan baik, sudah agak terkendali, jadi pembelajaran tatap muka sudah mulai dilaksanakan. Ini menjadi tantangan berat juga bagi kita, karena apa? Kita harus masih melaksanakan pembelajaran dengan hybrid, bisa kita laksanakan secara daring dan juga kita laksanakan secara tatap muka. Next slide. Berikutnya kami akan menyampaikan beberapa inovasi yang ada di Banyuwangi terkait dengan pengembangan sumber daya manusia, bukan hanya di sekolah yang seperti saya sampaikan slide di awal, bahwa edukasi kepada masyarakat ini menurut kami sangat penting karena bisa meningkatkan kualitas sumber daya manusia itu sendiri. Yang pertama adalah program teman usaha rakyat, yaitu program pendampingan bagi pelaku UMKM yang ada di Banyuwangi dengan memberikan fasilitasi akses digital marketing. Selain itu juga didampingi bagaimana UMKM itu bisa belajar terkait dengan bisnis model kanvas, kemudian dengan marketplace strategi, kemudian dengan manajemen media sosial. Ini kita lakukan terus supaya bisa memberdayakan, meningkatkan produktivitas dari semua UMKM yang ada di Banyuwangi. Next slide. Yang berikutnya adalah program jagoan bisnis, yaitu inovasi bisnis anak muda melalui pengembangan startup competition. Bagaimana kegiatan ini bisa terlaksana secara terintegrasi dari semua startup yang ada, kita lakukan pendampingan dan juga kita lakukan monitoring selama 3 bulan ke depan, bagaimana jejaring antar pelaksana ini bisa kita monitoring sehingga dapat membantu dalam meningkatkan produk-produk yang ada untuk meningkatkan pengembangan dari kualitas yang ada sebelumnya. Kemudian yang selanjutnya yaitu program jagoan tani. Ini hampir sama juga dengan jagoan bisnis, bahwa di bidang pertanian kita ada agrobusiness competition yang sudah jalan, dan ini terus kita tingkatkan sehingga anak-anak muda ini bisa melaksanakan, bisa concern dalam bidang pertanian yang akan lebih produktif sehingga bisa menopang perekonomian yang ada di Kabupaten Banyuwangi. Next slide. Yang selanjutnya adalah kita juga mengedukasi para petani yang ada di Banyuwangi dengan meluncurkan pelayanan smart konsultasi, yaitu dengan kami membangun mobile apps dengan kami beri nama Pas Kontak, yaitu aplikasi berbasis Android yang bisa dimanfaatkan oleh semua petani untuk berkonsultasi, baik itu terkait dengan pelayanan di bidang pertanian, peternakan, kemudian terkait dengan komoditas, seperti apa yang dibutuhkan pasar sekarang ini adalah komoditas apa, itu yang terus kita lakukan sehingga akan membantu para petani untuk memudahkan mendapatkan akses informasi, baik itu mulai dari cara bertani yang baik sampai dengan pemasaran hasil pertanian. Yang selanjutnya, pemerintah Kabupaten Banyu juga mendorong setiap desa untuk memunculkan potensi desa di desanya masing-masing. Di Banyuwangi ada 189 desa, sehingga semua desa bisa berdaya secara ekonomi dengan mengangkat potensi di desanya masing-masing. Contoh satu desa di Desa Taman Sari di kaki Gunung Ijen adalah dengan mendapatkan penghargaan dari Kementerian Desa untuk kategori desa wisata jejaring bisnis. Desa Taman Sari ini berhasil merintis pengembangan potensi wisata seperti homestay, kemudian kendaraan wisata, jasa guide, dan lain-lain, serta juga UMKM yang ada di desa itu dalam rangka untuk meningkatkan ekonomi yang ada di desa itu sendiri. Next slide. Yang berikutnya adalah anak-anak muda di Banyuwangi yang mempunyai kreativitas yang sudah terlatih di Banyuwangi melaksanakan roadshow ke desa-desa di semua kecamatan di Banyuwangi, yaitu mereka yang tergabung dalam Banyuwangi Youth Creative Network itu membantu kepada pemuda-pemuda desa untuk membranding potensi desa melalui UMKM yang ada. Sekarang ini sering kita jumpai banyak potensi di desa, tetapi brandingnya masih kurang bisa menjual. Ini kita bantu dengan door to door datang ke desa untuk meningkatkan kualitas dan produktivitas dari apa yang ada di desa. Mulai dari kita pelatihan digital branding, kemudian pembuatan foto, video pendek, serta produk hingga marketing secara online. Ini yang kami lakukan di Banyuwangi. Semoga ke depan ini kita terus akan berinovasi untuk selalu meningkatkan produktivitas yang ada di Banyuwangi. Demikian, terima kasih. Selamat siang. Thank you.
Miss Emilia, can you unmute yourself, please?
I'm sorry about that. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Budi, for that comprehensive presentation. I'm glad to see how the local government unit is leveraging on the strength of youth to improve the community. To continue our session, we will now move to the moderated discussion, wherein I will request our 5 speakers to respond to some of the questions. I would also like to encourage our participants to send us your questions so our experts can respond to them later during the Q&A. I would also like to request the audience, if possible, to indicate the panelists they would like to address the question to. So without further delay, we now welcome our experts to participate in a discussion to share their views, expertise, and reflections on the topic of education supporting digital skills development. Let me read the first question. I will start with Professor Matthew Nokoma. Professor Matthew is the Dean of School of Business and Management at RMIT University in Vietnam. As the Dean, he is responsible in overseeing all academic and business operations school. So academia plays a role in analyzing the main trends of the digital transformation and its impact on the job market. Mr. Matthew, what do you think are the main growing market areas related to IT and digital skills, and how school and universities need to accommodate the requirements of these growing employment opportunities? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amelia, for the question. That's an interesting question. I think first of all, before I answer that, let me just say a few things about the era that we're living right now, because this is where we call the Industry 4.0. And one of the main characteristics of the Industry 4.0 is the interconnection of the systems and devices. And we have seen a significant growth in the way the systems and the devices are connected. And so many areas now have started popping up. For example, people talk a lot about big data. And we have seen the presentation from the, I think the keynote speakers as well, about artificial intelligence, about virtual reality, augmented reality, automation, advanced manufacturing, smart sensors, and cloud computing. I'm really interested in just sharing a few details before we touch the roles themselves. For example, in big data now, there's a lot of information that is out there. So if you have skills that can help in analyzing the data itself, definitely you'll be getting a lot of jobs. So once I've identified those areas, let's now look at the type of roles that are available in the market. Right now, I've seen so many companies hiring people with technical skills, but also business skills, but also the last one, the creative skills. But before I talk about the skills themselves, let's talk about the roles. So we have the technical roles. So the technical roles, people are looking for software developers, user experience designers, quality analysts, and game developers. I think one of the speakers mentioned about game developing, which is really becoming huge, not only in the region, but all over the world. Let's look at the business roles. So in the business roles, you have project manager, data scientist, product manager, and also digital marketing manager. As you know, most of the companies now, they are looking at how they can utilize the social media. Creative roles, you have web designers, copywriter, social media manager, and user interface designer. Let me look at the skills right now, because some of the speakers already mentioned about them as well. So you have the hard skills and the soft skills. The soft skills are really difficult to teach. So for example, we are looking at collaborative skills, emotional intelligence, adaptability, and creativity. And one of the hard skills that is really interesting and emerging right now is the blockchain skills. As you know, blockchain is the technology behind crypto currencies like Bitcoin. As an emerging area of expertise, many companies are trying to get on board with this innovative technology. Same thing with the social media. Many social media platforms have gone beyond just like a platform to share maybe pictures or maybe holiday things, but these are now becoming a viable sales and marketing channels. And those who can maximize the potential of the social media are in high demand. So as an education institution, what can we do? I think the most important thing is we need to align ourselves with the industry and the government. We have to make sure that we can bring in the industry to share their problems with our students, because industry changes a lot. And in digital industry, everything else is changing. So it's an area whereby you cannot just be dormant. Every day things are changing. So here in the education industry, we are kind of used to an area whereby we don't want to change. And if you look at most of the way we assess our students, we assess them using a traditional exam. But if you go in the industry, they want it hard, I would say maybe hands-on experience. And this is an area whereby we need to change. We need to make sure we can bring both industry and government. Thank you very much, Melia.
Thank you so much, Professor Matthew. Indeed, you are right. With this Industry 4.0, the education landscape is really changing, and I'm sure the higher education university are also aligning with it, with the industry, so that they can cater to the needs of the society, of course. So now let's move on to the next question, which is for Dr. Noon Arkaprasarkul. So Dr. Noon is an architect, an urban designer, and a smart city research and development specialist. He serves as a senior expert in smart city promotion at the Digital Economy Promotion Agency, a government agency in Thailand. So the Digital Economy Promotion Agency in Thailand plays an important role in supporting cities in the digital transformation process that concern all aspects of citizens' life. So how DEPA, as a national government agency, contribute to education on digital skills development at the local level?
Hi, Sawasdee Krap. Hi, Amelia, and thank you so much for Dr. Sitra, Mr. Budi, and Professor Matthews for such an engaging discussions, and I learned a lot in the morning. Anyway, so as Amelia mentioned, P for DEPA stands for promotion. So our role is to help promoting rather than building infrastructure. So with that, I wanted to start with talking about some of the key points, the key projects that we have been doing, and what are the underlying rationales behind that. So first of all, in order to make sure that people are able to achieve what they want to achieve in life, not only in terms of work, but in terms of well-being, there are three components that we need to give to provide it for them. One is digital infrastructure, and that's what as I mentioned, is the role of other agencies in the country, including the market themselves, who are providing fixed broadband, cellular, satellites, and cloud computing services. And then there are two other domains that DEPA as an agency is involved in helping people achieving and getting by means of our provisions. One is digital literacy and digital competency. And then, as Professor Matthews mentioned, we needed that in addition and probably complementarily to the ideas of having a soft skill to actually achieve what the technicality of competencies can actually provide. So in that domain, we call this domain smart people, because we believe that in order to have a digital society, we must have people who are willing to engage in the lifelong learning processes. And that's exactly what Dr. Sitra and Mr. Budi alluded to earlier. So what does it mean to have a lifelong learning that is driven by digital economy? Well, we started out with making sure that people have the understanding of what digital is. So we started with the spectrum, with the end of spectrum, which is literacy, all the way to the other end of spectrum, which is advanced knowledge and deep tech, right? So let's start with literacy. And that's something that can be divided into two domains. One is K to 12, formal educations, and which we try really hard and try to get the coding skills, the understandings of basic logic and things like that to actually get students and learners alike to want to incorporate that into their learning patterns. And then we have informal education, which is actually more important ever, given that we have been living in a COVID situation for the past 18 months. So this informal education is actually one of the main focuses of our agency. So we try to help people who otherwise wouldn't have access to competency and literacy training, like elderly, people in the agricultural sectors who otherwise wouldn't be able to sell or market their products in the digital sphere, and of course kids and young learners who hopefully be able to choose or be able to think about their path in life earlier than having to wait until they finish their K-12 degree. So, but from that, we move to the middle of the spectrum, which is the user spectrum. These are the people who are the entrepreneurs in the market, who are the one who are using. So they need to have the sense of digital literacy by ways of cybersecurity. They need to know what kinds of transactions that are safe, what kinds of manners and patterns in engaging in the digital world that are polite and that are meaningful and useful and of course productive, all the way to deep technology like AI, IoT, AIoT, cloud, big data, automations, and mechatronics. So this is what this is the again, I'm still in the domain of literacy and competency. This is what we are really helping and supporting in terms of making sure that everybody get access to what they need. Once you have digital infrastructure, once you have digital literacy and competency, the last piece of jigsaw is adoption. And when it comes to adoption, what we're talking about are probably 4 areas. One is the standards. In order to adopt something, you need the standards. Otherwise, you'll be engaging in something that might not be even useful to you or might be detrimental to your well-being afterwards. Second of all, we need cybersecurity. And as many of you might know, we just launched the Personal Data Privacy Act, which would be something that would help people engage productively and safely within the digital sphere. And third, we really need a healthy market, because even though the government can help with the infrastructure, at the end of the day, the best way to deliver the most affordable and the best technology is to rely on market competition. So we want to create that kind of environment whereby the market is driving the innovation, the market is driving all kinds of personal interests in engaging in the market, because the people themselves see that as the means towards a livelihood and better economic activities and transactions. And eventually, the fourth point here is the smart city promotions. As Dr. Sitra, Mr. Budi alluded to earlier as well, the idea of smart city is the idea that you want to have an urban places, and that's very crucial because the world is becoming more urban than ever, according to UNDP, UN Habitats, and of course, almost in the entire spectrums of consultancies in the world. We all agree that the urban is the norm, the urban in the future, and the urban is it's unavoidable. So in that sense, we want to make sure that the domain of cities, which are dense, highly populated, highly legalized, and highly technologically advanced and highly innovative, are something that we can actually help and foster. So with that, I kind of want to leave that, and then maybe we leave it to the discussions and see how this conversation goes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nun, for that very insightful view and sharing your experience as well from the government side. Seems like Thailand is doing a lot of initiatives in this area, and I'm glad that you mentioned about the lifelong learning aspects, because in these days it's really, really very important. So now I move on to the next question, which is for Dr. Sita Kemarat. So Dr. Sita, earlier you presented about the employment service platform. Could you share with us how this platform has been received and perceived by youth as the main users of such service?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the questions. It's a really interesting question. So since the beginning of the project, we are as I presented in my PowerPoint, that so we our graduate mainly lack of skill, practical skill, especially the soft skill. No? And then first we conduct a survey with the student from the university and also from the colleges in the city, and to find out if they have appropriate device like a smartphone, and then we found out that they have 100% of them one smartphone. So they use smartphone first of all, and then we develop learning tool, simple one, like so how to train themselves, no? How to train students to write CV, for example, job interview, how to answer questions with the Google form, and then how to visually, so get access to working condition environments. So these tools, and then we organize a workshop, and then we work, we demonstrate to them and try with the student, let them use as the demonstration at first, And then the perception of this is quite positive. So first, we talk with their own stakeholder from the city office, from the service representative, or and also from the industry, because we work really separately. The institution, education institution and industry. So with its e-learning tool, we help bring students to labor market information, and also to develop their skill in order to develop in order to meet the requirement of the industry. That's what we are doing right now. So this platform is about to be launched, and then to share with different graduate students first at the first stage. No? So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sita. I hope a lot of our youth will utilize that platform later on. And good luck to the launching of the platform. So I will have another question for Mr. Budi Santoso, who presented a while ago about the Smart Kampung Banyuwangi program. Mr. Budi, based on your experience with spurring industrial growth through education, could you tell us what the level of digital literacy of the beneficiary was?
Baik, saya jawab dengan bahasa Indonesia. Tingkat literasi digital masyarakat Banyuwangi sangatlah beragam. Ini menjadikan tantangan bagi pemerintah daerah karena melihat dari sisi infrastruktur teknologi informasi di Banyuwangi sudah cukup bagus, sehingga tantangan bagi kita untuk bisa mengedukasi masyarakat terkait dengan penggunaan teknologi informasi. Dengan begitu masyarakat bisa mendapatkan akses teknologi informasi secara sangat mudah. Selanjutnya, literasi digital menjadi hal yang sangat urgent karena akan sangat berpengaruh terhadap masyarakat yang hidup di era digital sekarang ini. Apalagi di saat pandemi, baik di sektor pendidikan maupun kehidupan sehari-hari akan sangat bergantung terhadap penggunaan teknologi informasi.
I will try to translate what Mr. Budi said. My name is Neti. I'm the interpreter. Mr. Budi said that the level of digital literacy of the people in Banyuwangi is very diverse. This is a challenge for Banyuwangi government. At one side, the information technology infrastructure in Banyuwangi is good enough. So the challenge for us is to be able to educate the public regarding the use of information technology so that the people can get access to information technology easily. Digital literacy is very urgent thing because it will affect the people who live in the current era, especially during the pandemic, both in the education sector and everyday's life, which is very dependent on the use of information technology. Next question. Next answer.
Oke, yang kedua, pelatihan semacam ini perlu diberikan di pendidikan tingkat dasar dan menengah, karena tuntutan era sekarang ini di era digital bahwa di masa pandemi anak-anak di tingkat dasar maupun menengah diharuskan untuk menggunakan teknologi informasi untuk mendapatkan pembelajaran secara online. Jadi dengan begitu hak-hak anak-anak untuk belajar tidak akan terkurangi. Terima kasih.
This kind of training needs to be provided in primary and also secondary education. Due to the demands of an all-digital era, even during this pandemic, children at primary and secondary level are required to use information technology to get online learning.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Budi, for that comprehensive answer to our question. I'm pretty sure other cities would also be experiencing the same problem in terms of digital literacy, that it varies across, the country and the region. And so we hope we'll be able to address this concern later on. And so for my next question it is for Ms. Sharifa Noriza Shed Ahmad Kabir. She's the Regional Caucus Coordinator of Major Group for Children and Youth, and she's a member of International and SDG Committee of Malaysian Youth Council, Internal Advocate UNIYC Malaysia. Ms. Sharifa, since you work a lot on youth, how do you think youth could contribute to the digitalization of education?
Thank you, Ms. Amalia, for the introduction, and thank you to the organizer for including youth voice in this session. As for this question, I would like to respond on the importance of engagement that youth can bring towards any initiative and also any engagement between the stakeholders of the and also the government and also the local communities. Young professionals and also social entrepreneurs especially are important stakeholders in the global governance, I would say, and it is important especially in this digital age. So with the new normals nowadays, a young professional often serve as a bridge between the organization, companies, and also the government to strengthen the virtual engagement between the local, national, regional, and also the international communities. So I think it's very important for young professionals to be recognized on their expertise to explore innovation and also to support the senior professional peers in the communities or organization or the government sectors to invent and also reinvent something new for the communities and also organization with technologies at our fingertips. So this symbiosis is very important. This ecosystem is very important. We need each other to go further and to realize that we are as individuals cannot possibly do good at everything, but we can actually do it together. And we can see that many digitalization on education is already at the hand of the youth, and we can see that there are as the communicator between the communities that previously do not know how to use smartphone, how to engage and communicate with the other communities out there using the internet. So this could help the local communities, especially to bring up the economic level using the many apps that we have today and also all the technologies at hand. And also I can say that we can bring people together through accessibility. So young people act as a communicator to reduce digital gaps in education and also employment. So we can see that many initiatives have been done by the companies. For example, as the big companies, AirAsia also now coming into more digitalization, how to buy tickets through online without queuing up at the counter, for example, and then many more local governments organization who are also right now using this digitalization. So these accessibility issues is very important for young people to educate more on the local communities, and how also educators can like catch up with this digitalization using the Google Classroom and all. And all this innovation is actually we can say that young people are at the forefront and introducing something new for the communities, for the organization. And also at last, I would say diversity and inclusivity is very important, because we want to say about SDG, leave no one behind, and we need to ensure that no one and no place should be left behind. And this come with the recognition of the existence of other people like refugees and also other people who are left behind in the countries. For example, the people who are stateless and all, and they are left behind in terms of education. So I can say that young people are very important to bridge all these communities together and teach them on how to use the internet of things and all the things related to digitalization. So I would say capacity building is very important.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sharifa. Indeed, I agree with you. The youth has a lot to contribute in this digital era, so we must utilize their strength for them to contribute to the economy and to the society. So I have one. I didn't see any questions from the audience, but I do have one questions for all our speakers. Perhaps I would start again with you, Ms. Sharifa. The first question is, what are the technical and strategic areas where ASEAN local governments might benefit from capacity building and training initiatives to improve the digital training for different level of communities?
Thank you, Miss Amelia. I would highlight again with the point of digital literacy. In my opinion, the ASEAN local governments can benefit from the capacity building, which is right now initiated by many other stakeholders. For example, in Malaysia, we have Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, which is focused on organizing and leading Malaysia digital economy forward. So there are many engagement and also other startups coming up and helping the centralization of programs under the Upskills Malaysia, which is one of the portal that centralize of the program under we call it Pelanjana Semula Ekonomi Negara, Penjana, which is an online platform to create ecosystem between interaction between communities and also the ministries. So they use this to nurture the skill enhancement and also cross skilling and promote lifelong learning among the Malaysian workforce. So for example, in Malaysia recently during the pandemic, the immigration department of Malaysia also now going to digitalization aspect, where they provide the employment. We can use the we can start employment online, and it reduce the capacity in the counter during the pandemic. So this is one way, and I think many more local governments can take benefit from all the initiative done by the government in every ASEAN local government. For example, just now in Indonesia, they can also highlight on how important to use Internet of Things for the farming, for example. So we have to use and catch up with that, so that the local government will not left behind, because nowadays we need to catch up with this technology and all. So it's very important for ministries and agencies to take up the upskilling and reskilling initiative done by many sectors in the countries to facilitate them to use this platform to assist better service for the communities and citizens.
Thank you, Ms. Sharifa. So anyone from our panelists who would like to also answer that questions? I believe we are already running out of time, but if there's anyone from the floor who would like to speak with regards to the question, I can have one more.
May I?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I just would like to add now in case of Laos, because when we are talking about ASEAN country, we are a majority of the ASEAN country. We are in agriculture. People live in on agriculture on the rural area. So the labor force mainly now are migrating from the rural area to the city to work on the industry. Case of Laos, we are in the process of the industrialization. Government has policy to attract foreign investment, and then to promote more industry in the country. And then, so as I mentioned, I presented that we are working with the student in the higher education institution, but how to reach labor force, young people in the rural area is the still big question. So the program or learning module is quite need more diversity. You have to be diversified. So our strategy is right now to join effort. I think joint effort with among the institution to work together in order to have diversity of program, and then try to help the labor force from rural area, for example, no, to have to reach the platform in order for them to be prepared to get ready for the job in the industry environment, because they are from agriculture. So how to cultivate, no, them, the culture of working in the industry is really crucial. No? So it's I think it illustrates how to make people, no, smart, and then and finally to smart city. No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for that very insightful comments. And so now we've come to the end of this session. I would like to thank, of course, all our panelists and speakers for such great conversation, and the participants who stayed with us all throughout. So I agree with the panelists, and the three takeaway strategies for digital skills development in cities are, for me, first, in order to prepare our human resources for the impacts of megatrends and other forms of disruptions, education has to be really resilient and responsive to the needs of the society. As such, developing 21st century skills, including digital skills and green skills, and promoting lifelong learning are really crucial for people to thrive. Second, we need to leverage on the strength of the youth to help the community. It was very clear from the presentation and discussion. The youth is the generation in our community that is more comfortable, attuned, and savvy with the digital resources and technologies. Therefore, they are poised to take a leading role in redefining and shaping the modalities in how we learn, we work, we communicate, and manage our resources in the community. Third, capacity building and technical training for the community are very important to utilize the full potential of technology and allow them to become productive members of the community. In this regard, the local government units play an important role in ensuring that opportunities and platforms are available for communities to avail. It is also equally important for the public-private partnerships to flourish in the community, especially in developing an accessible and affordable digital infrastructure. So in conclusion, I hope this thematic dialogue was as informative for you, the participants, as it was for me. Certainly, there's still so much to unpack and to take the discussion forward. I thank all our panelists and speakers for taking time to join us despite your best busy schedule. So I encourage everyone to join the next special session on promoting gender equality, disability, and social inclusion in cities, which will start in 15 minutes. Thank you very much and have a good day.